Lindsey, how are you? Great to see you.
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Yes, thanks so much for doing this. Totally appreciate it. And it's been like 8 years, I think. It's been a long time since we've been
Yeah.
working together. So
Yes.
must be going well in some way, shape, obviously. But basically, I want to kind of know like your story, your journey of where you started, what made you decide to do this, and where you are today and the benefits and all that stuff. What was remind me because it has been a while. What was going on before you started the coaching?
When we started working together, I was in financial services. I was in a senior leadership role, and I had been kind of coming to terms with the fact that this was not the space that I wanted to be in. There wasn't really anywhere else for me to grow. The leadership team around me was not a group of leaders that I aspired to look like or to be like. And I didn't really see where else to go. And I think even prior to us probably working together, I had spent a lot of time seeing like, is there anywhere else like in the company? Do I move, make a horizontal shift? And I'd really just come to the conclusion that like this wasn't the right space for me to be in anymore. And one of the things that I really benefited from my time in financial services was buy-in to coaching. So what I had already seen and I had engaged in smaller, very succinct chunks was the benefit of having somebody to connect with and throw ideas off of and for them to, like kindly challenge me. And so when it got to the point where I was looking at, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? That can be incredibly daunting. And I quickly, though, realized I'm not going to try to do this alone. This is not something that I even know where to begin. And so I quickly started figuring out, hey, there are people out there that do this, that help work through this, and I will be able to navigate this much faster and probably with a lot less stress if I work with somebody. So that is what happened. And I mean, it was like 8.5 years ago. So I found flow coaching on Thumbtack, I think. I don't
Yeah,
even know if that's still
I don't
platform
either.
being
I
used.
don't know if it's still a thing anymore either. Yeah.
And I also found 3 or 4 other coaches. And so I did intro sessions with every one of them to get to know their style and, what their focus was on and, whether it was a good fit. And when it came to having a conversation with you, Chris, it just felt like a good fit. And when it was time to kind of talk about next steps, I just felt really comfortable to like, this coach fits my personality. I think this is going to be a really good match. And it really, I mean, honestly, I don't remember the like details of that
Yeah.
conversation, but what I do remember is I felt like, okay, I feel like I'm in good hands with this coach. I feel like I'm not going to be flailing, which is the feeling I had before of just like, I have no idea where to go. I have no idea what this looks like. This is terrifying. And I
This
felt,
being like where you wanted to go in your career.
yeah, yeah, with my career. Yeah. So
What you wanted to be when you grew up.
when I grew up. So that I feel like I'm not even sure. Did that answer your question? How I got to
Yeah.
starting to work with you?
Yeah. It was like, I guess what I'm hearing is you were frustrated, you didn't like where you were, didn't gel with the leadership team you're on, also saw the value in working with somebody else who knew how to do this to figure out where it is you did want to go and what you wanted to be when you grew up, even though
Yeah.
we're all growing up. And you were coming from a senior executive role too. And the thing too in there is, a big part of it, I think, is, as I recall you saying, your boss at the time said, like, the best investment you can ever make in yourself, because you're in a financial investment. What was that again? I'm getting that all wrong.
He was one of the leaders who pushed very heavily for investing in yourself. He felt like, that is as important as putting money aside in savings, and you should be thinking in it in the same way that you do a financial advisor. So you're putting money in your retirement account, you're putting money in long-term savings vehicles, you're being really thoughtful about that. And he's like, 5 to 10% should be going into investing in yourself, investing in your career, investing, thinking about how you are going to continue to grow. And so coaching fell in there, and he was a big proponent of find yourself a coach, find somebody who is going to support you in continuing to grow, because that's an investment in your future, in your career.
That's awesome. Okay. And then you talked about like speaking with other coaches, and then we gelled really well. You like my style and all that stuff. But tell me more, like what were your fears and doubts about hiring, going with flow coaching and that type of stuff? And what made you say yes anyway?
Yeah, I mean, I was in financial services, so obviously I think that means like I spend a little bit of time thinking about budgeting and being conscious of how I'm spending my money. So I think anytime that you're hiring a coach, you're really thinking like, oh, is this going to be worth it? Like, am I putting my money in the right place? And I think we've had a lot of conversations on this as well, but I think that as a woman, there's an extra component there of feeling like, is this selfish? Is investing in myself taking away from something that I should be spending on for my family's well-being? Is there something else that I should be investing in?
Mhm.
And so I would say, like, from the investment standpoint, that's kind of the big hurdle of like, am I being selfish of, investing and working with somebody on a regular basis to support my growth? Should I be doing, I don't know, anything else with as I'm thinking about investing? And I mean, I think the other thing was maybe countering, and maybe this was what helped motivate me to find a coach was it was overwhelming. I mean, thinking about making a career change is so scary.
Mhm.
I went to school for actuarial science and economics. I was in financial services and coming to the conclusion that this was not it. And then the next question in your head is, and then what? And going, I have no idea. I mean, that was really scary for me. So perhaps that's actually like a positive hurdle that like pushed me in the direction, because trying to navigate that on my own was really overwhelming and would have just slowed me down.
Yeah, okay. No, thanks for sharing that. That's two really huge things. So then, bringing us back to today, where you're at today, what has been your experience working with me so far and the ROI? Because I know we started 8.5 years ago figuring out what you wanted to do. And then you went out and executed on that and got multiple jobs throughout this whole thing, had to get into some consulting and all that stuff, but then ended up at where you are today at the foundation. And so what has been your experience working with me so far, and maybe a little bit of the ROI on that?
So when we started working together, the goal was navigating this career change. I think it has remained the same, but it has also been an evolution of our engagement. And so when we started, it was you helping me to think through, what are my values, what are my goals, what are the things, what are the type of work that is going to fit in, feels authentic to me, what's my personal mission statement. So we spent a lot of time kind of in that space. And you also helped me really figure out like, okay, well, what is the process of trying to explore this? And I've also kind of spoke with other people who are like, why are you still working with the same coach 8.5 years later? And to me, like, the goal was never a singular move. It wasn't like, oh, great, I got a different job, I'm done. Me making a switch was making a shift in a new direction. But what I saw in the process of making that shift was Chris working with flow coaching was so beneficial in helping me think through things quicker and being really strategic about my actions, about the process, about all the things that I was doing to set myself up for success. So I feel like the longer we engaged, the more it was just so obvious to me, like, this is the most important time that I spend each month. Like, this is my investment in my career. And, I'm sure other people can attest to this. Like, nobody else really cares that much about your career, right? Like, nobody else is going to volunteer and spend a lot of time for you. And it's so easy to push this off and to think like, oh, I'll do this at a different time. And so we could talk about like the return on investment being all the roles that I've achieved and like the navigating those difficulties. But in part, I feel like is just having somebody there who's like holding me accountable, but also like kindly challenging me to continue thinking about this and being intentional and continuing to like prioritize my career has been monumental. Like it's easy for me to look back and say this, like, coaching, investing in coaching has been the most beneficial thing that's happened. And I don't think I would be where I'm at without having a regular coach, and a coach of this length, because now I have such a relationship with you. You have a background with me. And so we can navigate through these things quickly because we have that history. We have something that I don't have to like give people context to.
Thank you for sharing that. Today we're kind of playing with a little bit of career coaching as you're looking at different roles or whatever still, and navigating the being a rising star in the foundation kind of thing, but also the executive coaching side of it, of helping you navigate the internal world and of where you're at, but really helping you show up powerfully, have the positive impact you want to have as a leader, connect better with your boss, direct reports, that kind of stuff as you go. And so it's been great. And I so appreciate you as a client. It's been such a great journey and a total pleasure of being on this journey with you for all these years. It's been great. So I totally appreciate it. And is there anything else that you would like to tell someone who is watching this right now that's unsure of, about taking the next steps? Like, what would you like to tell them?
I mean, putting the other stuff that I've already kind of spoke with aside, I just say that investing in yourself is always worth it. It's always worth it. And sometimes it's hard to see that. And it's not this is going to take a month. What I'd say is like investing is worth it, and going the coaching route and engaging with somebody who can help you think intentionally and strategically around what you want to do. Don't get overly stuck in having this mindset of it has to be this kind of time frame, because in fact, as I recall, it took me a year and a half to make that initial change from when we started coaching. And I think there was a point where you had to walk me back, because I was in my head like, this should have taken less time. What am I doing? And it's all worth it. I'm in the direction I want to be, and it's still a journey, right? And I still am not there because part of me is like, I don't know what that looks like. And so the value in continuing to engage with you is knowing that we're going to continue to navigate this together. You're going to continue to challenge me so that I'm staying on that path, and I'm being cognizant and aware of things that are most valuable and important to me. I guess it's never too late to start investing in yourself and recognizing that there's really just such a long-term return on investment. Making the commitment to doing this is you're going to look back and be like, this was worth it.
Thanks so much for sharing that. And it's an infinite game. That's what I'm hearing you describe. There is no goal line. It's an infinite game, and you just keep evolving, keep working on new challenges, leveling up, and playing at the level you want to play it at. Well, Lindsey, thank you so much. Totally appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah, of course.